agriculture. Our government is committed to the welfare of farmers. The MSP regime has undergone a sea change to assure price that is at least 1.5 times the cost of production across all commodities. The procurement has also continued to increase at a steady pace. This has resulted in increase in payment to farmers substantially. In case of wheat, a total amount paid to farmers in 2013-14, Honorable Speaker, sir, the data that I give now is important for all honorable members to kindly hear. In case of wheat, the total amount paid to farmers in 2013-14 was 33,874 crores. In 2019-20, it was 62,802 crores. And even better, Honorable Speaker, in 2020-2021, this amount paid to farmers was 75,060 crores. Honorable Speaker, again an important fact, the number of wheat growing farmers that were benefited increased in 2020-21 to 43.36 lakhs compared to 35.57 lakhs in 2019-20. That much of an increase within 1 year. For paddy, again, an important data. For paddy, the amount paid in 2013-14 was 63,928 crores. In 2019-20, this increased to 1,41,930 crores. Even better, in 2020-2021, this is further, in 2020-21, this is further estimated, and I'm saying this is further estimated because the procurement is ongoing, and therefore I can't give you the final figure. This is further estimated to increase to 1,72,752 crores. The number of farmers benefited increased from 1.24 crores in 2019-20 to 1.54 crores in 2020-21. In the same way, Honorable Speaker, sir, in the case of pulses, the amount paid in 2013-14 was 236 crores. In 2019-20, this was increased to 8,285 crores. Now in 2021, it is at 10,530 crores. More than 40 times increase from 2013-14. The receipts to cotton farmers have seen a stupendous increase from 90 crores in 2013-14 to 25,974 crores I'm giving you data as of 27th January 2021. This is bound to increase. From 90 crores for cotton farmers in 2013-14 to 25,974 crores in 2021. All the details in complete narration is available in Annexure 4 to my speech. Early this year, Honorable Prime Minister had launched the Swamitwa scheme. Under this, a record of rights is being given to property owners in villages. Up till now, about 1.80 lakh property owners in 1,241 villages have been provided cards. I propose during 21-22 to extend this to cover all states and union territories. To provide adequate credit to our farmers, I have enhanced the agricultural credit target to 16.5 lakh crores in this year. We will focus on ensuring increased credit flow to animal husbandry, Pashupalan, dairy, and to Matsyakar, to the fisheries. We are enhancing the allocation to the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund from 30,000 crores to 40,000 crores. The Micro Irrigation Fund, with a corpus of 5,000 crores, has been created under NABARD. I propose to double it by augmenting it by another 5,000 crores. To boost value addition in agriculture and allied products and their exports, the scope of Operation Green Scheme that is presently applicable to only tomatoes, onions, and potatoes will be enlarged to include 22 perishable crops. Around 1.68 lakh crore farmers, around 1.68 crore farmers are registered, and 1.14 lakh crores of rupees trade value has been carried out through e-NAMs, the National Agricultural Market. Keeping in view the transparency and the competitiveness that e-NAM has brought into the agricultural market, 1,000 more mandis will be integrated with the e-NAM. Honorable Speaker, sir, with all this, the Agricultural Infrastructure Fund would be made available to the APMCs for augmenting their infrastructure facilities. Fisheries. I'm proposing substantial investments in the development of modern fishing harbors and fish landing centers. To start with, 5 major fishing harbors, Kochi, Chennai, Visakhapatnam, Paradeep, and Petua Ghat, will be developed as hubs for economic activity. We will also develop inland fishing harbors and fish landing centers along the banks of rivers and waterways. Seaweed farming is an emerging sector with potential to transform the lives of coastal communities. It will provide large-scale employment and additional incomes. To promote seaweed farming and cultivation, I propose a multi-purpose seaweed park to be established in Tamil Nadu. Migrant workers and laborers. We have launched the One Nation, One Ration Card scheme through which beneficiaries can claim their rations anywhere in the country. Migrant workers in particular benefit from the scheme. Those staying away from their families can partially claim their ration where they are stationed, while their family in their native places can claim the rest. I'm happy to inform you that One Nation, One Ration Card plan is under implementation by 32 states and union territories, reaching about 69 crore beneficiaries. That's a total of 86% beneficiaries covered. The remaining 4 states and UTs will be integrated in the next few months. To further extend our efforts towards the unorganized labor force, migrant workers in particular, I propose to launch a portal that will collect relevant information on gig workers, building and construction workers, among others. This will help formulate health, housing, skill, insurance credit, and food schemes for all migrant workers. We will conclude a process that began 20 years ago with the implementation of the 4 labor codes. For the first time globally, social security benefits will be extended to gig and platform workers. Minimum wages will apply to all categories of workers, and they will all be covered by the Employees State Insurance Corporation. Women will be allowed to work in all categories and also in the night shifts with adequate protection. At the same time, compliance burden on employers will be reduced with a single registration and licensing and online returns. Financial inclusion. To further facilitate credit flow under the scheme of Stand Up India for the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes and also women, I propose to reduce the margin money requirement from 25% to 15% only, and to also include loans for activities in allied sectors, in allied activities in agriculture. We have taken a number of steps to support the MSME sector. In this budget, I have provided 15,700 crores to this sector, more than double of the last year's BE. Honorable Speaker, sir, I now go to the fourth pillar, reinvigorating human capital. The national education policy announced recently has had good reception. In school education, more than 15,000 schools will be qualitatively strengthened to include all components of the national education policy. They shall emerge as exemplar schools in their regions, hand-holding and mentoring other schools to achieve the ideals of policy. 100 new Sainik schools will be set up in partnership with NGOs, private schools, and states. Higher education. In Budget 2019-20, I had mentioned about the setting up of a higher education commission in India. We would be introducing the legislation this year to implement the same. It will be an umbrella body having 4 separate vehicles for standard setting, accreditation, regulation, and funding. Many of our cities have various institutions, universities, and colleges supported by the Government of India. Hyderabad, for example, has about 40 major institutions. In 9 such cities, we will create a formal umbrella structure so that these institutions can have better synergy while also retaining their internal autonomy. A glue grant will be set aside for this purpose. For accessible higher education in Ladakh, I propose to set up a central university in Leh. The other important projects to be taken up as a part of the NEP are listed in Annexure 5. Scheduled caste and scheduled tribes welfare. We have set ourselves a target of establishing 750 Eklavya model residential schools in our tribal areas. I propose to increase the unit cost of each such school from 20 crores, which is what it is now, to 38 crores, and for hilly and difficult areas to 48 crores. This would help creating robust infrastructure facilities for our tribal students. We have revamped the post-metric scholarship scheme for the welfare of scheduled caste students. I have also enhanced the central assistance in this regard. We are allotting 35,219 crores for 6 years till 25-26 to benefit 4 crores scheduled caste students. Skilling. In 2016, we had launched the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme. The government proposes to amend the Apprenticeship Act with a view to further enhancing apprenticeship opportunities for our youth. We will realign the existing scheme of National Apprenticeship Training Scheme for providing post-education apprenticeship, training of graduates and diploma holders in engineering. Over 3,000 crores will be provided for this purpose. An initiative is underway, Honorable Speaker, in partnership with the United Arab Emirates to benchmark skill qualifications assessment, and certification, accompanied by the deployment of certified workforce. We also have a collaborative training, intertraining program between India and Japan to facilitate transfer of Japanese industrial and vocational skills, techniques, and knowledge. We will take forward this initiative with many more countries also. Innovation and R&D. In my budget speech of 2019, I had announced the National Research Foundation. We have now worked out the modalities, and the NRF outlay will be of 50,000 crores over 5 years. It will ensure that the overall research ecosystem in the country is strengthened with focus on identified national priority thrust areas. There has been a manifold increase in digital payments in the recent past. To give a further boost to digital transactions, I earmarked 1,500 crores for a proposed scheme that will provide financial incentive to promote digital mode of payment. We will undertake a new initiative, National Language Translation Mission. This will enable the wealth of the new Space India Limited, a PSU, under the Department of Space, will execute the PSLV CS-51 launch, carrying the Amazonia satellite from Brazil, along with a few smaller Indian satellites. As part of the Gaganyaan mission activities, 4 Indian astronauts are being trained on generic spaceflight aspects in Russia. The first unmanned launch is slated for December 2021. Our oceans are a storehouse of living and non-living resources. To better understand this realm, we will launch a deep ocean mission with a budget outlay of more than 4,000 crores over 5 years. This mission will cover deep ocean survey exploration and projects for the conservation of deep sea biodiversity. I come to the 6th pillar, Honorable Speaker, minimum government, maximum governance. Honorable Speaker, sir, this is the last of the 6 pillars. This will outline plans for reforms in one of our core principles of minimum government, maximum governance. We have taken a number of steps to bring reforms in tribunals in the last few years for speedy delivery of justice. Continuing with the reforms process, I now propose to take further measures to rationalize the functioning of tribunals. We have introduced the National Commission for Allied Healthcare Professionals Bill in Parliament. National Commission for Allied Healthcare Professionals Bill in the Parliament, with a view to ensure transparent and efficient regulation of 56 allied healthcare professionals. Additionally, to bring about transparency, efficiency, and governance reforms in the nursing profession, the National Nursing and Midwifery Commission Bill will be introduced by the government for passing. To have ease of doing business for those who deal with government or CPSEs and carry out contracts, I propose to set up a conciliation mechanism and mandate its use for quick resolution of contractual disputes. This will instill confidence in private investors and contractors. Honorable Speaker, sir, the forthcoming census could be the first digital census in the history of India. For this monumental milestone marking task, I have allocated 3,700 celebrations. I propose to provide 1,000 crores for the welfare of tea workers, especially women and children in Assam and West Bengal. A special scheme will be devised for the same. Fiscal position. Fiscal position. In these last few paragraphs of Part A of my speech, I draw the attention of this august House to the fact that at the beginning of the current financial year, the pandemic's impact on the economy resulted in a weak revenue inflow. This was combined with high expenditure to provide essential relief to vulnerable sections of the society, especially the poor, the women, scheduled castes, and scheduled tribes. Unlike many other countries, we opted for a series of medium-sized packages during the pandemic so that we could calibrate and target our response according to the evolving situation. Once the health situation stabilized and the lockdown was being slowly lifted, we switched to ramping up government spending so as to revive domestic demand. As a result, against an original BE expenditure of 30.42 lakh crores for 2020-21, our RE estimates are 34.50 lakhs, 30.42 now within the year going up to 34.5 lakh crores. We have maintained quality of expenditure. The capital expenditure estimated in the RE is 4.39 lakh crores as against 4.12 lakh crores in the BE stage. So the beginning of the year, we had marked only 4.12 lakh, whereas it is 4.39 lakh crores as we end the year. Fiscal deficit in RE 2020-2021 is pegged at 9.5% of the GDP. Fiscal deficit in RE 2020 to 2021 is pegged at 9.5% of GDP. We have funded this through government borrowings, multilateral borrowings, small saving funds, and short-term borrowings. We would need another 80,000 crores, for which we would be approaching the market in these 2 months. We would be needing another 80,000 crores for which we would be approaching the markets in these 2 months. To ensure that the economy is given the required push, our BE estimates for expenditure in 21-22 are 34.83 lakh crores. This includes 5.54 lakh crores as capital expenditure, an increase of 34.5% over the BE figure of 2020-2021. The fiscal deficit in BE 21-22 is estimated to be 6.8% of the GDP. The gross borrowing from the market for the next year would be around 12 lakh crores. We plan to continue with our path of fiscal consolidation and intend to reach the fiscal deficit level below 4.5% of the GDP by 2025-2026, with a fairly steady decline over the period. We hope to achieve the consolidation by first increasing the buoyancy of tax revenue through improved compliance, and secondly, by increased receipts from monetization of assets, including public sector enterprises and land. The Contingency Fund of India is being proposed to be augmented. The Contingency Fund of India is being proposed to be augmented from 500 crores to 30,000 crores through finance bill. In accordance with the views of the 15th Finance Commission, we are allowing a normal ceiling of net borrowing for the states at 4% of GSDP for the year 21-22. A portion of the ceiling will be earmarked to be spent on incremental capital expenditure. Additional borrowing ceiling of 0.5% of the GSDP will also be provided subject to conditions. States will be expected to reach a fiscal deficit of 3% of GSDP by 2023-24 as recommended by the 15th Finance Commission. In the July 2019-20 budget, I introduced the Statement 27 on extra budgetary resources. It disclosed the borrowings of the government agencies that went towards funding Government of India schemes and whose repayment burden was on the government. In my 2020-21 budget, I enhanced the scope and coverage of that statement by including the loans provided by government to the FCI, the Food Corporation of India. Taking a step further in this direction, I propose to discontinue the NSSF loan to FCI for food subsidy, and accordingly, budget provisions have been made in RE 2020-21 and in the BE 2021-22. The extra budgetary resource details are at Annexure 6. We know that the FRBM Act mandates fiscal deficit of 3% of GDP to be achieved by 31st March 2020-2021. The effect of this year's unforeseen and unprecedented circumstances has necessitated the submission of a deviation statement under Sections 4 of Subclause 5 and Section 7, Subclause 3b of the FRBM Act, which I'm laying on the table of the House as part of the FRBM documents. Towards achieving central government fiscal deficit along the broad path that I have already indicated, I will be introducing an amendment to the FRBM Act. Honorable Speaker, on the 9th of December 2020, the 15th Finance Commission submitted its final report covering the period 2021 to 2026 to the Rashtrapati Ji. The government has laid the Commission's report along with the explanatory memorandum in the Parliament, retaining the vertical shares of the states at 41%. We recognize our commitment to fiscal federalism and propose, therefore, to adhere to this recommendation. Jammu and Kashmir in the 14th Finance Commission was entitled to get devolution being a state. Now the funds of the UTs of Jammu Kashmir and Ladakh would be provided by the centre. I have also provided on the Commission's recommendation 1,18,452 crores as revenue deficit grant to 17 states in 21-22, as against 74,340 crores to 14 states in 2020-21. Honorable Speaker, I would now move to Part B of my speech. Honorable Speaker, the world is facing a serious challenge of the pandemic and its aftershock. In these trying times, when many economies are struggling to revive, our people and our industry have exhibited remarkable resilience. As I mentioned already, post-pandemic, a new world order seems to be emerging, one in which Asia is poised to occupy a prominent position, and India will have a leading role therein. In this scenario, our tax system has to be transparent, efficient, and should promote investments and employment in our country. At the same time, it should put minimum burden on our taxpayers. I borrow the words of Thiruvalluvar, the saint. Yetralum, eatalum, kathalum, katha vaguthalum, nalla valladarasu. A king or a ruler is the one who creates and acquires wealth, protects and distributes it for common good. Tirukkural. Direct tax proposals. Keeping this in mind, the words of Tirukkural, our government introduced a series of reforms in the direct tax system for the benefit of our taxpayers and economy. Few months prior to the pandemic, in order to attract investments, we slashed our corporate tax rate to make it among the lowest in the world. The dividend distribution tax too was abolished. The burden of taxation on small taxpayers was eased by increasing rebates. In 2020, the return filed, despite having foregone several basic necessities their own, have the paying bank will deduct the necessary tax on their income. Reduction in time for income tax proceedings. This is a very key announcement, if you ask me. Honorable Speaker, presently an assessment can be reopened up to 6 years and in serious tax fraud cases for up to 10 years. As a result, taxpayers have to remain under uncertainty for a very long time. I therefore propose to reduce this time limit for reopening of assessments to 3 years from the present 6 years. In serious tax evasion cases too, only where there is evidence of concealment of income of 50 lakh or more in a year. In serious tax evasion cases too, only where there is evidence of concealment of income of 50 lakh or more in a year can the assessment be reopened up to 10 years. Even this reopening can be done only after the approval of the Principal Chief Commissioner, the highest level of Income Tax Department. Setting up the Dispute Resolution Committee. Honorable Speaker, it has been the resolve of this government to reduce litigation which mars the present taxation system. The government came out with the Direct Taxation Vivad Se Vishwas scheme to give taxpayers an opportunity to settle long-pending disputes and be relieved to further strain on their time and resources. The response from taxpayers has been the best ever, as over 110,000 taxpayers have already opted to settle tax disputes of over 85,000 crores under the scheme. To further reduce litigation for small taxpayers, I propose to constitute a dispute resolution committee for them, which will be faceless to ensure efficiency, transparency, and accountability. Anyone with a taxable income up to 50 lakh and disputed income up to 10 lakh shall be eligible to approach the committee. Faceless IT-AT. For ease of compliance and to reduce discretion, we are committed to make the taxation processes faceless. The government has already introduced faceless assessment and appeal this year. The next level of income tax appeal is the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal. I now propose to make this tribunal faceless. We shall establish a national faceless Income Tax Appellate Tribunal Center. All communication between the tribunal and the appellant shall be electronic. Where personal hearing is needed, it shall be done through video conferencing. Relaxations to NRI. When non-resident Indians return to India, they have issues with respect to their accrued incomes in their foreign retirement accounts. This is usually due to mismatch in taxation period. They also face difficulties in getting credit for Indian taxes in foreign jurisdictions. I propose to notify rules for removing their hardship of double taxation. Exemption from audit. Currently, if your turnover exceeds 1 crore, you have to get your accounts audited. In February 2020 budget, I had increased the limit for tax audit to 5 crores for those who carry out 95% of their transactions digitally. To further incentivize digital transactions and to reduce compliance burden, I propose to increase this limit for tax audit for such persons from 5 crores to 10 crores. Relief for dividend. In the previous budget, I had abolished the dividend distribution tax in order to incentivize investment. Dividend was made taxable in the hands of shareholders. Now, in order to provide ease of compliance, I propose to make dividend payment to rate and INVIT exempt from TDS. Further, as the amount of dividend income cannot be estimated correctly by the shareholders for paying advance tax, I propose to provide that advance tax liability on dividend income shall arise only after the declaration or payment of dividend. Also, for the foreign portfolio investors, I propose to enable deduction of tax on dividend income at lower treaty rate. Attracting foreign investment into infrastructure sector. In the last budget, for attracting foreign investment in the infrastructure sector, we had granted 100% tax exemption, subject to certain conditions, to foreign sovereign wealth funds and pension funds on their income from investment in Indian infrastructure. We have noticed that few of such funds are facing difficulties in meeting some of the conditions. In order to ensure that a large number of funds invest in India, I propose to relax some of these conditions relating to prohibition on private funding, restriction on commercial activities, and direct investment in infrastructure. In order to allow funding of infrastructure by issue of zero-coupon bonds, I propose to make notified infrastructure debt funds eligible to raise funds by issuing tax-efficient zero-coupon bonds. Affordable housing. Affordable housing and rental housing. This government sees housing for all and affordable housing as priority areas. In July 2019 budget, I provided an additional deduction of interest amounting to 1.5 lakh for loan taken to purchase an affordable house. I propose to extend the eligibility of this condition by 1 more year to 31st March 2022. The additional deduction of 1.5 lakh shall therefore be available for loans taken up to 31st March 2022 for the purchase of affordable houses. Further, to keep up the supply of affordable houses, I propose that the affordable housing projects can avail a tax holiday for 1 more year till 31st March 2022. These are available now for projects also. We are committed to promote supply of affordable rental housing for migrant workers. For this, I propose to allow tax exemption for notified affordable rental housing projects. Tax incentives to IFSC. As I mentioned in Part A of this speech, the government is committed to making the International Financial Services Center in GIFT City a global financial hub. In addition to the tax incentives already provided, I propose to include, among others, tax holiday for capital gains for aircraft leasing companies, tax exemption for aircraft lease rentals paid to foreign lessors, tax incentive for relocating foreign funds in the IFSC, and to allow tax exemption to the investment division of foreign banks located in the IFSC. Pre-filling of returns. Honorable Speaker, in order to ease compliance for the taxpayer, details of salary income, tax payments, TDS, etc., already come pre-filled in income tax returns. To further ease filing of returns, details of capital gains from listed securities, dividend income, and interest from banks, post office, etc., will also be now pre-filled. Relief to small trusts. We hope to reduce compliance burden on small charitable trusts running educational institutions and hospitals. So far, there is a blanket exemption to such entities whose annual receipt does not exceed 1 crore of rupees. I now propose to increase this amount to 5 crores. Labor welfare. We have noticed that some employers deduct the contribution of employees toward provident funds, superannuation funds, and other social security funds, but do not deposit these contributions within the specified time. For these employees, this means a loss of interest or income. In cases where an employer later becomes financially unviable, non-deposit results in a permanent loss for the employees. In order to ensure that employees' contributions are deposited on time, I reiterate that the late deposit of employees' contribution by the employer will not be allowed as deduction to the employer. Incentives for startups. In order to incentivize startups in the country, I propose to extend the eligibility for claiming tax holiday for startups by 1 more year, till 31st March 2022. Further, in order to incentivize funding for the startups, I propose to extend the capital gains exemption for investment in startups by 1 more year, till 31st March 2022. Sir, I now come to indirect tax proposals. GST. Before I come to my indirect tax proposals, I would like to appraise the House on GST. The GST is now 4 years old, and we have taken several measures to further simplify it. Some of the measures include nil return through SMS, quarterly return and monthly payment for small taxpayers, electronic invoice system, validated input tax statements, pre-filled editable GST return, and staggering of returns filing. The capacity of GST and system has also been enhanced. We have also deployed deep analytics and artificial intelligence to identify tax evaders and fake billers and launched special drives against them. The results speak for themselves. We have made record collections in the last few months. The GST Council has painstakingly thrashed out thorny issues. As chairperson to the Council, I want to assure this House that we shall take every possible measure to smoothen the GST further and to remove anomalies such as inverted duty structure. Custom duty rationalization. Our custom duty policy should have the twin objective of promoting domestic manufacturing and helping India get on to global value chain and export better. The thrust now has to be on easy access to raw materials and exports of value-added products. Towards this, last year, we started overhauling the customs duty structure, eliminating 80 outdated exemptions. I also thank everyone who responded overwhelmingly to a crowdsourcing call for suggestions on this revamp. I now propose to review more than 400 old exemptions this year. I repeat, I now propose to review more than 400 old exemptions this year. We will conduct this through extensive consultations, and from 1st October 2021, we will put in place a revised customs duty structure free of distortions. I also propose that any new customs duty exemptions, therefore, henceforth will have validity up to 31st March, following 2 years from the date of the issue. Electronic and mobile phone industry. Domestic electronic manufacturing has grown rapidly. We are now exporting items like mobiles and chargers. For greater domestic value addition, we are withdrawing a few exemptions on part of chargers and subparts of mobiles. Further, some parts of mobiles will move from nil rate to a moderate 2.5%. Iron and steel. MSMEs and other user industries have been severely hit by a recent sharp rise in iron and steel prices. Therefore, we are reducing customs duty uniformly to 7.5% on semis, flats, and long products of non-alloy, alloy, and stainless steels. To provide relief to metal recyclers, mostly MSMEs, I am exempting duty on steel scrap for a period up to 31st March 2022. Further, I am also revoking ADD and CVD on certain steel products. Also, to provide relief to copper recyclers, I am reducing duty on copper scrap from 5% to 2.5%. Textiles. The textile sector generates employment and contributes significantly to the economy. There is a need to rationalize duties on raw material inputs to man-made textiles. We are now bringing nylon chain on par with polyester and other man-made fibers. We are uniformly reducing the BCD rates on caprolactam, nylon chips, nylon to 5%. This will help the textile industry, MSMEs, and also overall exports. Chemicals. We have calibrated customs duty rates on chemicals to encourage domestic value addition and to remove inversions. Apart from other items, we are reducing customs duty on naphtha to 2.5% to correct inversion. Gold and silver presently attract a basic customs duty of 12.5%. Since the duty was raised from 10% in July 19, prices of precious metals have risen sharply. To bring it closer to previous levels, we are rationalizing customs duty on gold and silver. Renewable energy. In Part A, we have already acknowledged that solar energy has huge promise for India. To build up domestic capacity, we will notify a phased manufacturing plan for solar cells and solar panels. At present, to encourage domestic production, we are raising duty on solar inverters from 5% to 20% and on solar lanterns from 5% to 15%. Capital equipment and auto parts. There is immense potential in manufacturing heavy capital equipment domestically. We will comprehensively review the rate structure in due course. However, we are revising duty rates on certain items immediately. We propose to withdraw exemptions on tunnel boring machine. It will attract a customs duty of 7.5% and its parts a duty of 2.5%. We are raising customs duty on certain auto parts to 15% to bring them on par with general rate on auto parts. MSME products. We are proposing certain changes to benefit MSMEs. We are increasing duty from 10 to 15% on steel screws and plastic builder wares. On prawn feed, we increase it from 5 to 15%. We are rationalizing exemption on import of duty-free items as an incentive to exporters of garments, leather, and handicraft items. Almost all of these items are made domestically by our MSMEs. We are withdrawing exemption on imports of certain kinds of leathers as they are domestically produced in good quantity and quality, mostly by MSMEs. We are also raising customs duty on finished synthetic gemstones to encourage domestic processing. Agriculture products to benefit farmers. We are raising customs duty on cotton from nil to 10%, on raw silk and silk yarn from 10 to 15%. We are also withdrawing end-use-based concession on denatured ethyl alcohol. Currently, rates are being uniformly calibrated to 15% on items like maize, bran, rice bran, oil cake, and animal feed additives. There is an immediate need to improve agricultural infrastructure so that we produce more while also conserving and processing agricultural output efficiently. This will ensure enhanced remuneration for our farmers. To earmark resources for this purpose, I propose an agricultural infrastructure and development cess on a small number of items. However, while applying this cess, we have taken care not to put additional burden on consumers on most items. Rationalization of procedures and easing of compliance. For their judicious application, we propose certain changes in the provisioning related to ADD, anti-dumping duty, and CVD, countervailing duty levies. To complete customs investigation, we are prescribing definite timelines. In 2020, we rolled out the Turant Customs Initiative, which brought in faceless, paperless, and contactless customs measures. With effect from September 2020, we have implemented a new procedure for administration of rules of origin. This has helped in putting a check on misuse of FTAs. The specific details of direct and indirect tax changes proposed are listed in the annexure to my speech. Honorable Speaker, sir, with these words, I commend the budget to this august House. Thank you.
आइटम नंबर 1, माननीय मंत्री जी, आइटम नंबर 1.
Sorry, I don't have it. Sir, I wish to place on table the 15th Finance Commission report.
आइटम नंबर 3, माननीय मंत्री जी.
Sir, I wish to lay on the table the following statements under Section 3(1) of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act 2003, the medium-term fiscal policy fiscal policy strategy statement and macroeconomic framework statement.
Item number 4.
So I wish to seek your permission to move for leave to introduce the Finance Bill 2021.
प्रश्न ये कि विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए. जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य इसके विरोध में ना कहें. मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष हुआ. माननीय मंत्री जी विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करें. श्री प्रहलाद जोशी जी.
With your permission, I rise to present the 18th report of Business Advisory Committee.
माननीय सदस्यगण, माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी के बजट भाषण की प्रतियां प्रकाशक फलक पर उपलब्ध है. सदस्य अपनी प्रति प्रकाशन फलक से प्राप्त कर सकते हैं. माननीय सदस्यगण, जैसा कि आपको समाचार 2 के माध्यम से पहले सूचित किया जा चुका है कि बजट की प्रतियां आपको मेंबर्स पोर्टल के माध्यम से उपलब्ध कराई जा रही है. सभा